I took PT and his girlfriend's son to the Flyers game the other night. Now, we didn't sit together, but we rode up together.
Which turned out to be
I
worse
think I would
from
have
what I
rather
heard.
sat next to him
Yeah.
than drive up with him.
I got to get to the bottom of this story.
Yeah, I mean, I was a little appalled, Pete Thompson, educator such as yourself, using foul language in front of 10 and 11-year-old kids. I mean, what gives?
Well, the 10 and the 11-year-olds were buried in their phones, number one. Number two, they probably had earbuds in. Number three, they already know those words. And number four, when I get with the MG, I romantically forget that there's anybody else there. It's just kind of like you and me.
Wow.
I don't
So
know
it's
that any of those,
it's the presence of MG that brings out the
I don't know that any
worst.
of those excuses hold water in the court of law. I can tell you definitively those young men had no earbuds in.
Oh, well, that's good then.
Mental earbuds, maybe, you know.
And
Right.
I like his other reasoning. Did you catch that one? They already know those words.
They already know the
so
words.
therefore,
right.
it's okay to use them.
They already know murder and robbing takes place, so you might as well
Yeah, you might as well just do it anyway.
show them how to do it.
I was giving him the stink eye, and I was like, dude.
No, you shussed me a couple times, and then I would say sorry, and then I'd forget again. Listen,
What was the
MG
context?
and I have been through a lot of stories.
Yeah.
And I forgot, Daddy knows best that you're a family man now, and that, I have to edit my speech because I apologize. I apologized, I think, to you that night. If I didn't, I meant to.
Yeah. Well, we were wondering because you were also talking at a level that was really loud. And then your reasoning was that you're deaf in one ear, which, I don't know, that just seemed like it was an ailment that just got made up all of a
No,
sudden.
you don't
It's a Josh
understand.
ailment.
Gil, I know your affinity for the pool, okay? So I guess the only way I could describe this to you is
Yeah, swimmers
go in the
ear?
deep
Yeah.
end, dive all the way to the bottom, do it about 8 or 10 times, get water in your ear, and then have it stay there for 3 weeks. That's how I felt ever since I came back from California, including this remote that I'm doing right now. I have the phone to my right ear because I can't hear out of my left.
You need to, there's some ways to fix that, PT. That's just from,
they have some like swimmer ear stuff
yeah.
that they sell at CVS.
Yeah.
Listen, all I got to do is go see my guy, Dr. Matlick, okay? I haven't been to him since 2014, but I need to go back. I mean, he's the best. He's my ear, nose, and throat guy. He'll fix me up real respectable like.
Yeah, all right. Well, yeah, there was a couple times in the car I say, Peter, I'm sitting right here.
He was just excited to be with you, man.
Well, and so, it was just a wonderful combination of me talking too loud and the words that I was choosing to color my story with when there was a 10 and 11-year-old in the car going to their first hockey game. So,
Yeah, we had a bunch of first-timers.
Yeah,
But the first-timers didn't get to see the best game. But I will say this, Pete Thompson.
God, I wish they saw last night's game.
Well, they got last night's game, but I will say I thought they went toe-to-toe with Tampa. They played a good game. They just didn't put the puck in the net. They didn't get a lot of offensive chances. But I'm impressed that after that losing streak that was partially because you were there, when they came home, I was concerned, like, all right, this is going to start falling apart. You lose out west, and then you've got Washington, Tampa, Boston. They got Montreal coming up. They've beaten Washington and Boston in the last week.
It's impressive, and not only that, but who they're doing it with. Justin Braun is out right now. I mean, they still don't have a third or fourth line center because Nolan Patrick's been on the shelf the entire season. Obviously now Oscar Lindblom out with his health issues. I mean, they're doing it with guys that you sit there, and I don't know about you and Heidi in your seats, but I turned to Michael at one point and said, like, who's 82? You know what I mean? Like, if you've got a number like 82 in hockey, you've just been called up for the Phantoms, or the guy, that just scored his goal the other night. I think Bunneman is, there's guys that are coming up and contributing, and good for them.
What do you think about Vigneault and the job that he's done so far? How much of an impact has he made?
Well, I'm a big believer in his style. He likes to play an up-tempo style. He likes to, attack. He likes to force turnovers. He likes to take the game to the other team. I like that. I think he's also, like, in the first, because we're just about past the halfway point now of the season, and we're coming up on All-Star Weekend, Ryan, and I think that, you sort of settle in, right? Like, they had that hot November, and they were unbelievable. But you still haven't seen, like, bits and pieces, but you still haven't seen James Van Riemsdyk be what they thought he was when they signed him. And you certainly haven't seen Jake Voracek put the puck in the net the way that you want him to put the puck in the net. Like, let's just talk about Voracek. In Anaheim, the one game they did win that we went to, that game was won in overtime on a full length of the ice pass by Jake Voracek. So as much as I get ticked off at Jake, because there's so many times that I feel he disappears out there, and of course he's got a huge contract and nobody's going to trade for him, you can't make a move for him, he's not going anywhere, then he makes a play like that, you think there's only like 5 or 8 guys in the entire NHL that can make that pass. So, it's like the facts of life, the old TV show. You take the good, you take the bad.
All right, speaking of, I don't say good or bad, but Nolan Patrick, are they going to get a little bit of a jolt with his return, or are you skeptical that we'll see him?
I'm skeptical that we'll see him. I mean, I really think that
I bring this up because there was a report today that Chuck Fletcher says he expects him to be back this season, and I know that it sounds like you don't think so.
I mean, I'm skeptical because they're just being so tight-lipped about it and so cautious about it, and it's really hard to, there's certain times where you want to say to a guy like, well, geez, aren't you better yet? But here we are talking about the head and migraines, and that's something that it's almost like borderline if you're picking on somebody or saying somebody was manual, there's no take this pill, do this, and jump on one leg, and this is how it fixes it. I mean, so, I'm sympathetic to the fact that the guy has legitimate issues. It's a shame that, of course, he plays for the team that I happen to root for and the one that I'd really like him to be playing.
Yeah, well, Fletcher said today he expects Patrick to return from his migraine disorder and play the season. He said, quote, I can just tell you from on and off ice workout he is progressing. There certainly isn't any clear path as to which way this will go.
And then you ask yourself, I'm sure you did, Mike, is that the procedural, organizational Flyers answer where they sort of say, okay, ball in your court now, Nolan Patrick's agent, Nolan Patrick's, is that statement coming out because they actually expect him back, or are they putting that statement out so that they can say, organizationally, we expected him to come back?
Well, let me ask you this then. If they were to get a player of that magnitude back, where does that put them?
Well, it just balances out the lines. I mean, they essentially have 2 centers, and they had moved Giroux off center for a while, and then they moved him back into the center position at times. But you need 3 good lines to win on a regular basis in the NHL, and that 4th line is supposed to be, you don't expect a lot out of them other than to create some energy, force some turnovers, and every once in 100 games cause a fight, right? I mean, so the 4th line is your checking line, right, or your grinding line or your energy line. So that's what they're missing. They're missing a 3rd line center that isn't just a guy that wins faceoffs, but a guy that sets up and creates for the other 2 scorers. The reason that Rob Brown was so good back in the day was because, he had guys that could set him up. I mean, I'm going way back to the Penguins in like the 90s, but, you need playmakers and good centers, and Nolan Patrick being out. When he's healthy, he's a very capable, if not borderline above capable NHL center. It's just that he hasn't been healthy.
PT, give me an update on the goalie play. How's Carter Hart?
We left practice today.
Well, depends on where Carter Hart's playing. Carter Hart at home has been fine, but I don't know if I said this on the radio or not, but we saw a little Carter Hart spaz attack, if you will, in San Jose. He came off the ice and broke his stick against the hallway there. He was so ticked off, and he's just frustrated. His road record has been atrocious. And, I mean, for the most part, in the beginning of the season, Carter Hart was shaky. Then he settled down. But when he's at home, Carter Hart, for the most part, has been good. And yet on the road, for some reason, and, of course, that trip was abysmal. They just kept starting poorly. I like to see Carter Hart get mad like that. And I don't think a lot of people saw that, but, it was in the hallway coming off the ice. He broke his stick. The goalie is the first person off the ice. He didn't do it where like fans could see it in the general arena. He did it in the hallway once they were up the tunnel. So basically the 11 guys behind him or the 12 guys behind him could see, dudes, you really let me down tonight. We're all playing like bleep. There you go, Mike. See, I can edit. We're all playing like bleep, and I want you to know that I'm not happy about it.
Yeah, PT. So how was the seat width?
My seat width was fine. You texted me and said your seat was a little narrow, but
No. I mean, I was
fine.
just wondering. I said, these are a little tighter than I had thought there, PT. I didn't know if it was going to be something that you were. I was surprised to see you in that seat. Well, you did. You were gone for after the second period. I think you left, right?
After the second period, and we, it had been so long without a goal. I was planning on coming back for the start of the third, got a little delayed. And then, like the PT is prone to do, I met a new friend. So, if you're ever in Kennett Square or you and your lady need some mushrooms, I literally met a mushroom farmer, a guy that's
Sure. What kind of mushrooms are we talking about?
We told you to watch the language.
What, a mushroom farmer?
Yeah, you're like, if you guys would need any mushrooms.
You need a mushroom guy.
Oh, I didn't even understand the joke. I'm literally talking about the stuff that come out of the earth, and you guys are talking about edibles. Jeez.
No, well.
All right, Pete Thompson. Don't forget the Pete Thompson Show this Saturday, 8 a.m. here on 97.3 ESPN. By the way, Flyers back on the ice Thursday against Montreal. So
don't forget tomorrow. They're on tomorrow against St. Louis in St. Louis.
Oh, that's right. They got the road game out there. The Sixers play tomorrow too. I'm looking at the radio schedule, not the Flyers schedule. So they play tomorrow. Sixers play tomorrow. Flyers play Thursday. They have a back-to-back.
They do, and they get to see Craig Berube and the defending Stanley Cup champions.
That's right, out there in St. Louis. So St. Louis. All right, so before we let you roll here, did you watch what was the television setup in the PT household last night? You had Sixer Flyer National Championship game.
It was first and foremost, when you were talking with Casey Joyner in the segment before about Tennessee, I said in school, at work on Friday morning to one of my students, they asked me my picks. I went 4 for 4. Okay, that doesn't mean I'm Nostradamus or I'm some clairvoyant, but I got them right. And for some reason, I had a feeling about Tennessee, and they did what I thought they were. I just felt like Baltimore might come up short, and Tennessee didn't, so I picked that. I'd like to say that first. And then secondly, last night, we started on the Flyers. Then we bounced over to the Sixers just to kind of take a look a little bit. And, of course, the NBA, at that point, you're not to it. And then when the national championship game got started, everything happened perfectly. Like the Flyers were starting to bleep the bed right at the right time that you could lean more towards Sixers and national championship. Sixers went to halftime just about the time that you could watch them come out from the tunnel or the ESPN cameraman get run over. Or, it all worked out perfectly. And then, I was kind of following the Flyers on Twitter and then said, we probably want to go back. And so we went back to the Flyers right near overtime and then saw the shootout and stayed with it till then. Bounced back to the Sixers. Oh, there's Amy Fadul. Doesn't she look nice? They lost. Bounced over the championship game. I tapped out at halftime, though. Come on. I had to get up at, 5 in the morning. I couldn't make
so
it
late.
Well, that was a long game last night.
Yeah, it was.
All right. Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN, Tuesday with Thompson. Saturday morning, 8 o'clock, the Pete Thompson Show right here on 97.3 ESPN Radio.
No curse words on that show, by the way.
Yeah,
be there or
up,
be
man.
square.
Clean it up.
Well, I think I didn't realize I was doing it, but I definitely didn't know I was doing it so long that they could hear it in Delaware and, Kennett Square, PA, and North Jersey.
Well, have a good day.
Thanks, buddy. It was good to talk to you. You too, Ryan.
Thanks, PT. You too, man.
Pete Thompson, like all guests, appeared via the Boardwalk Honda hotline.